If the analytics are fair enough to move on, what would compel a lower official to obey? Because ultimately we have statutes and rules requiring chains of command. The person who's in the office, and even if they don't have the authority to hold the office, the only way to get someone out of office is impeachment. So I think if you interpret Section 3 in light of other provisions of the Constitution like impeachment, while they're out of office, impeachment's the only way to validate that they don't have the ability to hold that office. Well,
the decision. Yeah. I don't know. I can go get one out of my car. I'm right on your way. No, you're fine.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you are joining us, we're going to be doing some audio. We're going to be doing some video. We have Mark NAUGHTON hanging out outside of the Supreme Court of the United States of America in Washington, D.C. And so we're going to be showing you what he's seeing, and we're going to be playing audio from the Supreme Court. So I'm going to mute him at the moment. He's going to just kind of pan around and show you about what's happening outside there as the arguments are happening in favor and against Donald Trump being on the ballot in the states that he's been removed from. So this is the constitutional challenge that is being, and whether or not the president has immunity, and whether or not there's an insurrection clause in play, and a number of other things. So we're going to listen to the Supreme Court. We're going to see some videos from the city as Mark moves around, and I should have him on mute right now. He is going to mute right now. We're going to start playing that audio argument you guys can listen to, and we will. We're going to just show some video. We'll see what happens. First test run of Mark NAUGHTON on the street.
And different states suddenly saying you are eligible, you're not, on the basis of this kind of thing.
Well, what they were concerned most about was ensuring that insurrectionists and rebels don't hold office. And so once one understands the sort of imperative that they had to ensure that oath breakers wouldn't take office, it would be a little bit odd to say that states can't enforce it, that only the federal government can enforce it, and that Congress can essentially rip the heart out of Section 3 by a simple majority just by failing to pass enforcement legislation. Federalism creates redundancy, and here, the fact that states have the ability to enforce it as well, absent federal preemption, provides an additional layer of safeguards around what really Section 3 is.
Yeah, and I'll ask you about the history when I get a chance again. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. Justice Thomas? Justice Alito?
Suppose there's a country that proclaims again and again and again that the United States is its biggest enemy, and suppose that the President of the United States, for diplomatic reasons, think that it's in the best interests of the United States to provide funds or release funds so that they can be used by that country. Could a state determine that that person has given aid and comfort to the enemy and therefore keep that person off the ballot?
No, Your Honor. This court has never interpreted the aid and comfort language, which also is present in the treason clause. But commentators have suggested, it's been rarely applied because treason prosecutions are so rare, but commentators have suggested that, first of all, that aid and comfort really only applies in the context of a declared war, or at least an adversarial relationship where there is, in fact, a war between two countries. And second, the intent standard would do a lot of work there, because under Section 3, whatever the underlying conduct is, engaging in insurrection or aid and comfort has to be done with the intent to further the unlawful purpose of the insurrection or to aid the enemies in their pursuit of war against the United States.
Now, let me come back to the question of what we would do if different states had adjudicated the question of whether former President Trump is an insurrectionist using a different record, different rulings on the admissibility of evidence, perhaps different standards of proof, then what would we do?
Ultimately, this court would, first of all, if there were deficiencies in the record, the court could either refuse to hear the case or it could decide on the basis of deficiencies of the record.
Well, would we have to decide what is the appropriate rule of evidence that should be applied in this case? Would we have to decide what is the appropriate standard of proof? Would we give any deference to these findings by state court judges, some of whom may be elected? Would we have to have our own trial?
No, Your Honor. This court takes the evidentiary record as it's given, and here we have an evidentiary record that all the parties agree is sufficient for a decision in this case. And then, As I discussed earlier, there's a possibility of a Bose Corp independent review of the facts, but ultimately what we have here is an insurrection that was incited in plain sight.
But you're really not answering my question. It's not helpful if you don't do that. Suppose we have two different records, two different bodies of evidence, two different rulings on questions of admissibility, two different standards of proof, two different sets of fact findings by two different judges, or maybe multiple judges in multiple states. Then what do we do?
Well, first, this court would set the legal standard, and then it would decide which view of the record was correct, I think, under that. If this court had two cases,
which view of what record? Which record?
If this court had two cases before it, and both of the records were sufficient insofar as both sides had the opportunity to present their case and the essential facts in the record that everyone agreed was sufficient for decision, then this court would have to look at the evidence presented and decide which holding was correct, and then decide that issue for the country. And certainly here, when there is a complete record, lower courts then will be applying that decision, and I think it's unlikely that any court would say, we're going to reach a different decision than the U.S. Supreme Court did, particularly if the court relies on the facts, the indisputable facts of what President Trump said on video and in his Twitter feed, which is really the essence of our case here.
Well, you had an expert, let's just take that example, had an expert testify about the meaning of what President Trump said. But do you think it's possible that a different state court would apply Daubert differently and say that this person should not be allowed to express an expert opinion on that question? Do you think that's beyond the realm of imagination?
Not at all, Your Honor. 2 points on that. Number one, President Trump didn't appeal the admission of that evidence in this case. But number two, the second point is that Professor Simi really, he didn't opine on the meaning of President Trump's words. He opined on the effect that those words had on violent extremists. And the essence of his testimony was built around videotaped statements of President Trump himself, encouraging, inciting, and praising political violence.
I'm not taking a position one way or the other about whether the expert's testimony should have been admitted or anything like that, or the meaning of President Trump's words. I'm just trying to get you to grapple with what some people have seen as the consequences of the argument that you're advancing, which is that there will be conflicts in decisions among the states, that different states will disqualify different candidates. But I'm not getting a whole lot of help from you about how this would not be an unmanageable situation.
If this court writes an opinion affirming on the basis of the indisputable facts of what President Trump said on January 6th and in the weeks leading up to it, and his virtual confession on Twitter after the fact, then it would be reversible error for any other state to conclude otherwise on that question of federal law, or at the very least, this court could address that when those issues come up, but it seems unlikely.
Justice Sotomayor?
There's two sides to the other side's position. The first is that it's not self-executing. I want to put that aside. Deal with if we were to hold that states don't have the right to enforce or create a cause of action in this situation. They want the flip to say that no, but even Congress can't do it because they need implementing legislation. Address that argument. Because assume we rule that states don't have it, what would you have us say for the other side of the argument? One of my colleagues says you need, or not then Chief Justice, but Circuit Court Justice Chase said, which is that somehow you need implementing legislation, like the 1870 Act. You seem to say that's not true because they could decide not to seat a candidate, et cetera. So I don't know that legislation's necessary.
And certainly there are historical examples of members of Congress under Congress's Article 1 power to judge the qualifications of its members, of members of Congress refusing to seat ineligible candidates under Section 3 who have won election. In the context of the presidency, I think it would create a number of really difficult issues if the court says there's no procedure for determining President Trump's eligibility until after the election. And then what happens when members of Congress on January 6th, when they count the electoral votes, say we're not going to count electoral votes cast for President Trump because he's disqualified under Section 3 under the Electoral Count Reform Act. A number of the amicus briefs, such as those of Professor Ginsburg, Hassan, and Foley, have made the point that that is kind of a disenfranchisement and constitutional crisis in the making, and is all the more reason to address those issues now in a judicial process on a full evidentiary record so that everybody can have certainty on those issues before they go to the polls.
Justice Kagan?
Mr. Murray, you relied on the state's extensive powers under the Electors Clause. You talked about the states having a role in enacting, typical ballot access provisions. I guess, it strikes me that we've put some limits on that, and I'll just give you Anderson versus Celebrezzi as an example of that, where we said, in fact, states are limited in who they can take off a ballot. That was a case about minor party candidates. But the reason was that one state's decision to take a candidate off the ballot affects everybody else's rights. And we talked about the pervasive national interest in the selection of candidates for national office. We talked about how an individual state's decision would have an impact beyond its own borders. So if that goes for minor political party candidates, why doesn't it go a fortiori for the situation in this case?
Well, certainly constitutional principles like Section 3 apply to everybody, but in Celebrezzi, the issue there was a First Amendment question. And certainly there's no doubt that states' exercise of their power under Article 2 is constrained by First Amendment principles. And in that case, the state law deadlines for when a minor party candidate got on the ballot just came too soon to be reactive to what major parties had done, and therefore risk disenfranchising people who were disillusioned with who the major parties had picked. And it raised First Amendment problems. Here, there's no real First Amendment problem, and a state is just trying to enforce an existing qualification that's baked into our constitutional fabric.
Yeah, I guess, it did come up in the First Amendment, but there's a broader principle there, and it's a broader principle about who has power over certain things in our federal system. And, within our federal system, states have great power over many different areas, but that there's some broader principle about that there are certain national questions where states are not the repository of authority. And I took a lot, First Amendment, not First Amendment, a lot of Anderson's reasoning is really about that. Like, what's a state doing deciding who gets to, who other citizens get to vote for president?
Colorado is not deciding who other states get to vote for president. It's deciding how to assign its own electors under its Article 2 power. And the Constitution grants them that broad power.
Well, but the effect of that is obvious, yes?
No, Your Honor, because different states can have different procedures. Some states may allow insurrectionists to be on the ballot. They may say, we're not looking past the papers. We're not going to look into federal constitutional questions. It's the sort of, even in this election cycle, there are candidates who are on the ballot in some states, even though they're not natural-born citizens, and off the ballot in other states. And that's just a function of states' power to enforce, to preserve their own electors and avoid disenfranchisement of their own citizens.
Thank you.
Justice Gorsuch?
I haven't had a chance to talk about the officer point, and I just want to give you an opportunity to do that. Mr. Mitchell makes the argument that, particularly in the commissions clause, for example, all officers are to be commissioned by the president. Seems to be all-encompassing, that language. And I'm curious your response to that. And along the way, if you would, I poked a little bit at the difference between office and officer in the earlier discussion, you may recall. But I think one point your friends on the other side would make is, well, that's just how the Constitution uses those terms. So, for example, we know that the President pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House are officers of the United States because the Constitution says they are. But we also know that they don't hold an office under the United States because of the incompatibility clause that says they can't. So maybe the Constitution to us today, to a lay reader, might look a little odd in distinguishing between office and officer, not prepositions, nouns, but distinction. But maybe that's exactly how it works. Thoughts?
Well, I'd start with the idea that the meaning of officer in the 1780s was the same meaning that it has today, which is a person who holds an office. And certainly in particular contexts like the Commissions Clause, it appears that that's referring, that is referring to a narrower class of officers, because we know that there are—
Except it says all.
Well, we know that there are classes of officers, like the President pro tem, who don't get their commissions from the President.
Well, that's because the Constitution elsewhere says that.
We know that the Appointments Clause refers to a class of officers who get their appointment from the Constitution itself, rather than from presidential appointment. People who get their commissions from the President himself are not commissioned by the President. And so if you read the Appointments Clause in line with the Commissions Clause, then the Commissions Clause is really talking about the President's power. If one needs a commission, it's the President who grants it. But I think it's important to bring us back to Section 3 in particular, because that was 80 years—
Before we get to that, though, just the distinction between office and officer, do you agree that the Constitution does make that distinction, particularly with respect to the Speaker and President pro tem?
The Constitution makes that distinction, but at least in Section 3, an officer of the United States is a person who swears an oath and holds an office. Now, the President pro tem and the Speaker of the House, they don't swear a constitutional oath in that capacity. They swear a constitutional oath if they are a senator or representative in Congress in that separate non-official capacity. But I think that—
You agree they are officers who don't hold an office?
They're officers who may hold an office but don't swear an oath under Article 6 in that official capacity.
Well, how can they hold an office under the Incompatibility Clause? It says they can't.
Well, I think that's a fair point, and I think that may be an exception to the general rule, and one might consider them perhaps officers of the House and Senate because they are appointed by those bodies and preside over those bodies.
Well, the Constitution says they're officers of the United States. So there are some instances when you have an officer but not an office.
Those may be an exceptional circumstance, but I would—
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justice Kavanaugh?
The concerns of some question have been the states having such power over a national office, other questions about the different states having different standards of proof. And they seem underscored by this case, at least the dissenting opinion below. Justice Sotomayor said, I've been involved, quote, I've been involved in the justice system for 33 years now, and what took place here doesn't resemble anything I've seen in a courtroom, end quote. And then added, quote, what transpired in this litigation fell woefully short of what due process demands, end quote. Now, I don't know whether I agree or not. I'm not going to take a position on that. But the fact that someone's complaining not about the bottom line conclusion, but about the very processes that were used in the state would seem to, and that would be permitted, seems to underscore the concerns that have been raised about state power. Just wanted to give you a chance to address that because that was powerful language. Again, not disagreeing about the conclusion, but about the very fairness of the process.
Yes, Your Honor, but that language was, with respect to Justice Sotomayor, just not correct. President Trump had a 5-day trial in this case. He had the opportunity to call any witnesses that he wanted. He had the opportunity to cross-examine our witnesses. He had the opportunity to testify if he wanted to testify. And of course, the process was expedited because ballot access decisions are always on a fast schedule. But in this whole case, from the trial court all the way up to this court, President Trump has never identified a single process other than expert depositions that he wanted to have that he didn't get. He had the opportunity for fact witness depositions. He had the opportunity to call witnesses remotely. He didn't use all of his time at trial. There was ample process here, and this is how ballot access determinations in election cases are decided all the time.
Okay.
All right, folks, we're going to go to Mark, who's standing outside live outside the Supreme Court, and just see what he's got to say. Mark, what's going on, buddy? What do you see?
Yeah, Kyle. So obviously, United States Supreme Court, and the big case, which is Trump v. I think it goes by Anderson, but nonetheless, it's a question of the 14th Amendment here, and can the state remove a candidate from the ballot, basically calling him an insurrectionist? He hasn't been adjudicated. They declare it, so they removed him. So it's right there, right behind me. Essentially the government of Colorado is finishing up right now. So a lot of people here, but super, super peaceful.
It was so peaceful that we actually just lost Mark, which is inevitable, of course. So, folks, one of the things that we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get Mark to kind of show you the media circus. I think that the joy of this, or the amusement of it, is going to be knowing knowing that we've got probably 200 media personnel. There's literally hundreds of people sitting here that are out there covering, and you saw that there's a protest. Now, they're probably going to talk about the protest, but we literally have maybe 20 people tops. And Mark was talking about how these are people he's seen many times. They've all rolled around, and they're used to doing this kind of thing. When he gets back on here, we'll show you. I'm going to turn back on the audio so we can listen a little bit more to what the court case is saying. But we're going to go to Mark and have him walk around and show you sort of the media insanity. You might just boot back up here. Let's see if we can bring him back on. Let me unmute you, Mark. Mark, you still hear me? Hold on. You're not in yet. You got to unmute you. You got to unmute on your end. There he is.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah,
how about now?
That looks good. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just asking you about the media circus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love Media Row. I love that's kind of my angle. Is I love showing the people the media. Okay, because the media shows their perspective of the people. I like to show the people's perspective of the media. So if you want, Kyle, if you give me a few seconds, I'll get the rig ready and I'll go mobile and show you sort of if you were here, what you would see instead of just a tripod.
Yeah, why don't you give us a description of what we're about to see? How many people are we talking about, and who is this clown that's playing music behind you?
Yes, I can't stand that. Okay, because instead of it's droning out the audio of the case. Okay, so I've seen this before. I don't quite understand it. He doesn't even have a jar out for some tips. So we're going to move away from him. He should at least be trying to collect while he's out here doing that. I just don't understand the value of playing your own music to people that don't want to listen to it. It's going to drown out, a historic landmark decision to remove a candidate off a ballot who hasn't even been adjudicated. So let me collapse this thing. Give me a few seconds, and I'll take you on a walking tour.
Sure, and I'm just going to show people where you're at on the map right now. So, folks, if you're joining us, and this is Mark Naughton, you can follow him at MarkNaughton9. You are seeing outside the Supreme Court. I'm going to open this thing up big, and there's Mark. He's doing the ground truth reporting out in front of the Supreme Court building, has the map, and we've got some idiot who's playing his own tunes. He was playing some Huey Lewis in the News earlier, which I didn't hate, but this is pretty bad. So we'll go back to the audio of the... let me just kill that. I'm going to kill the street music. So then we're going to go back to the audio of the Supreme Court. You guys can listen to that for a few more minutes while Mark gets ready to go mobile, and then we'll go mobile when we're ready. Or are you already ready? Not yet. Hold on, Mark. We can't hear you yet. I got to unmute you. Bring the idiot back on. Here it goes. What do you got?
Okay, give me a second. Yeah, so let me switch the camera. I got to get used to this. Okay.
All right.
So I should get the setup ready. By the way, incredible setup. You can tell that a guy with actual tactical experience and awareness came up with the concept of this rig, which obviously it's kind of where tactics meets media. And well done, Kyle. So okay.
Just a little kudos for me while you're moving around. All right, so where we were, what are we looking at?
So obviously, if you've never seen the United States Supreme Court House, it is massive. Okay, it is massive. You got some protesters here or festive people. I've seen this group, and I'm going to show you their leader and sort of their leadership in a minute when I head over there. But this group I've seen all over America. They have the black signs, the white lettering. They have their giant anti-Trump banners that they lay out. Of course, Fulton County, every time in New York. I believe I've even seen them in Florida. I've just seen them everywhere. So
now, Mark, are they trying to do like a traditional Native American dance that's going to ward off of President Trump? What is this horrible sort of spastic thing we're seeing?
I can ask them real quick.
Yeah. Ask him what the purpose of the dance is. I'd love to know.
Okay. Ladies, love the moves. Purpose. What are you here for? What's going on?
We're here to let the Supreme Court know we're keeping an eye out. If they allow Trump on the ballot, this is the first of many protests of a grassroots push to ensure that he can never take office again. It can't be about that life.
Okay, any concern? He hasn't been adjudicated. He hasn't been found guilty.
Okay.
Is there a concern that this sets a precedent?
You know what I think is so funny? He hasn't been found guilty. Didn't that same man put out a full-page ad in the New York Times indicting 5 African-American men who were also found innocent?
Well, some people call that free speech, but
yes, but just like he used his position of power in the office with bad blood behind it, using the force of the office instead of the power of the office, like Obama and other presidents, Clinton, used the power of the office. He used the bully of the office. He's the only president that had to erect a fence outside of the White House, keeping Americans further out. Only president who ever felt the need.
But shouldn't that be up to the voters, though, and not the Colorado?
You're asking me my opinion.
Oh, no, I am.
Questions about my opinions. And like you're challenging me. If you want my opinion, you want my opinion. If not, then we can have a discussion off camera. You know what I'm saying? But you're asking me for my opinion.
I have like 600 people watching right now, and you make a good case.
My opinion, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you ask me what I believe, I'm telling you what I believe, and then you're saying, "Oh, but shouldn't that be up to?"
Will you ask her if she went to Biden's inauguration?
Because I'm clearly telling you what I'm telling you. Does that make sense?
Sure. It does. It makes sense. It's your position. Have you been to Biden's inauguration?
I was not at Biden's inauguration, but I was at Obama's.
Does she know that there were fences up?
Nobody really, or the people out there listening, don't really understand what is really needed. There are people in this country who have never had a day of freedom. And you say, how is that possible? When we look at slavery and when it ended, we have Juneteenth that we just started celebrating recently because they kept the slaves for longer than was legal. Like, it's okay. You're good. But America's just corrupt with its notion of who gets what. Everybody thinks, oh, if that person gets more rights, then it means that I have less. But no, if I have more rights and you have more rights, there's less tension between us. There's nothing to compete for. We're equal.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you speaking with us.
No problem.
And so now, okay, so the little woman she's with is the leader. She is the leader. So we're lucky that was probably going to be the only interview we get with this organization, because she knows who I am.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like it.
So for people to have a little perspective, because I was in fact at Biden's inauguration, and I was outside. There were a lot of fences up during that time. There's no question about that. It's kind of interesting that she had that take. Mark, you might have to extend the microphone a little bit towards these folks. Do you have the additional mic so people can hear better?
I do. Yeah. So let me turn that on, and I'll tell you what. You manage the mute and unmute with it, because what I will do is just have it essentially armed.
Yeah. That sounds fine.
All right.
It's not going to hurt anything.
Tell me when. I want to make sure that we actually have all the audio, because
I'll be able to watch it.
Is it showing the multiple sources?
No, I'm only going to see it. Those are all coming into one, so all those are going to come into a single track. But we'll hear both mics. It'll be all good. We'll hear a little bit more ambient. Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
what is this cordon area? What are these bike racks about?
So, I'm not really sure what the center lane is for. Maybe that's some sort of tactical decision. I just don't understand it, but that's okay.
Is there a possibility
yes,
that there's going to be like a dance floor in the middle there?
Yeah, I am not entirely sure, but just a unique fact too is the Supreme Court has its own police force, just like the Capitol has its own police force.
Sure.
So my understanding is they're very small. It's much smaller than, as you can see, although it's a large building, it is much smaller than the infamous Capitol right behind us.
Yeah, that's a whole city block over there.
So.
And how loud to your ear is the guy playing that music?
Loud enough. It's a complete total distraction here.
It's frustrating. Suboptimal. And that sounds like the dancing has resumed, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Let's characterize what's the mood of this crowd? What does it seem like?
Super dull. Media's kind of bored. People are boring. I'll let you look at some of the scenery here. It's yeah. Let's take a gander in Media Row. But I was super grateful that woman did speak with us. But she really didn't like just a simple dialogue. She was okay with one way discussion only. You know, so
yeah, no challenging.
So this is just the beginning of Media Row. Okay.
Look at that. He's got a little thing to stand on so he can get the shot.
They all do that. Kyle. Look.
They all have little standing boxes. Those are just Pelican cases.
Right. But if they all do it, you know, I'm not quite sure the advantage. I guess once one does it, the rest have to do it to have the same angle.
Yeah, you don't want to be the only guy out there without a Pelican case to stand on. That would mean you have like a weaker team.
And you can see the support gentlemen. They like to sit on them too.
That checks.
So yeah. So just you know, very typical. I'm going to head down even a little bit further. So it looks like you can see the times there. Let's go down a little further.
Does the New York Times have a tactical patch? Is that what we're seeing?
Yes. It was all tacked out.
Wow.
So it's subdued, so that you can only identify his unit up close. You know.
Yeah, you'd have to. Now, are we seeing enough and appropriate amounts of diversity in the reporting corps that's down here? Do we feel like we're getting enough diversity from the those that are covering the event?
It looks pretty diverse. I think they would pass the DEI matrix here. Lots of diversity. Also some foreign correspondence.
Yeah, I was going to say, are there any Asians that speak English? That would be good.
Okay. Well, I will let you know when I find.
Yeah, let's tune our eyes in for a little bit, because I've seen them a little underrepresented, despite the talent that comes out of that particular genre of people.
Yeah. So I just show you.
So tell me this, Mark.
Pretty typical stuff here.
Am I wrong? This reminds me of like a track meet or a swim meet where or a race where like everybody kind of has like their little camp.
Yes. There's definitely the media camps. And by the way, it is just amazing. I don't want to give away too much of our secrets here, but they can't do what we're doing right now. They are set up. There is no moving.
It's static.
So it's they set up their 8,000 adjustments and leave it right there.
It's a one-time fire and forget sort of situation is what you're getting at.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
are we mad at him about that?
Yeah. No. Let me see here. So now I'm going to go mix it up with the people. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go a little deeper in with the people. Let's see what they're up to.
All right, I'm going to share this link again and let people know where we're at. We're going to quote it. So, folks, if you're joining us on Twitter or if you're watching on any of the other channels, you can always see we got a live chat that's running over on Rumble, which is fantastic and snarky. We appreciate all of you guys over there. Oh, you got some Spanish language. That's cool.
Yes.
Very good.
And at some point, I want to really kind of look at these microphones, Kyle, make sure that we're not actually just transmitting from the phone itself.
Oh, sure.
Not just the one on me, but I really want to work on the handheld.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that that's coming through.
We have the wireless RX microphone receiving. So we are getting the wireless mic. You want to test the one in your hand?
Yeah. So technically pocket. How about now? How about that?
That sounds like you're using it.
Okay. Hold on. Because I don't. Give me 1 second. Let me use the tools what they're designed for. Set up the tripod real quick.
Okay.
And which is super easy at this point because I've been carrying it. So
I'm going to cut back to a split screen here.
Okay.
All right, so folks, Mark's going to go ahead and get himself configured out there. I noticed that our chat is upset that there's not any black midgets that are represented or black Asian midgets. This is the caliber of people we're dealing with, Mark. I just want you to know.
Yeah, real people. That's why.
Yeah, real people. That's correct. and then we'll do a little full screen. If you're not familiar with the layout of Washington D.C., let me put it here on the screen. So Mark Naughton 9 is Mark's handle. He's live in Washington D.C. in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. You guys can see him there on that map. Capitol behind him, and the Supreme Court in between. There's this sort of weird, whatever you want to call these people. They have a large banner that seems to be laying on the ground. It's only good for helicopters, and they're all monochromatic, letting people know that they only are willing to have outbound statements, no questions tolerated, right? And they're also willing to play the tambourine to remove Trump in an ancient native slave black war dance that is attempting to warn the Supreme Court. That's what we heard. They are warning the Supreme Court that if they don't get rid of Trump, then there's the possibility of more protests, more upset people, I guess. I didn't quite follow what she was saying.
How about this, Kyle? Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
So do you see two audio microphones now?
No, and nor will I.
Okay.
It all comes into one channel, but it sounds great.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So good. So they don't kind of cross and do the radio thing then.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any drag queens represented? Do we see anybody that looks to be gender diverse?
Not yet. So, but you give me something to look for.
Okay. We might as well.
Not yet. So this is, to be honest, the crowd has mildly declined since I first arrived. So, I'm really curious to see where this thing goes.
Is it going to be that it needs to have some, what's going to make this thing exciting? Like, where would you rate this on our riot scale at the moment?
Oh, Canada. Yeah, we're at level Canada.
Which is essentially a 0.
Right. But I mean, to be technical, there's multiple loud noises, so we could probably raise this to, United Kingdom's parliamentary debate or something.
British parliamentary debate is as close as we're going to get to like actual excitement, is what you're saying.
Yes. I am watching these intersections for any kind of car crashes at this point. So,
which could be the only thing that redeems the energy level there. What happened to the music?
I can faintly hear it, but let's see. This is they gotta work on their banner.
Okay.
They brought no sandbags.
Yeah. That looks like an error on their part, don't you think?
Yes. Because now it requires this guy to pretty much become a sandbag.
Can we find out what he's wearing with a mask crowd? Is that for to conceal identity? Do you mind asking some questions? Let's figure out what these people are about. A lot of curiosity here.
All right, let me see.
At least on my end, I want to know.
I'm gonna tripod over there, and it's okay. I thought someone was just grabbing my stuff. You're good. All right, so do you still have me, audio and everything?
Yeah, you sound great. Still good.
Yeah, so a girl, her big camera caught one of my wires, and I thought we were going to hands, but she's very sweet, and she was terrified. So.
Well, you have a intimidating presence there as a man.
Yeah, well, if it almost went down. But
let's find out.
I'll show you. She's cute as hell. There she goes, walking away.
Okay, yeah, she looked worried. She's like a little turtle with her backpack.
Yes.
Let's get some takes over here if we can. On
yes, let me get.
Let's say, is COVID still a problem in this era, and is the protesting worth it? The danger.
Right. Okay.
What does that say? Corrupt Clarence must recuse. That's fantastic. We got that going. Oh, we got the win.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now. The lady is the gatekeeper is going to block us.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me try, because she knows who I am.
Sure.
And she knows we already spoke to one of her people.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. All right, I have confidence we're going to get nowhere. But
who's the lady in the blue?
How are you?
how are you?
Who are you with?
Italian television.
Italian. Well, welcome to America. Okay.
Buongiorno.
So, yeah, buongiorno. Let me see. Okay. All right. Guys, are the masks for COVID?
We are, no thank you.
Nothing what?
No thank you.
No thank you?
We're not interested in talking
Okay. How are you?
Good.
I see you all the time in New York. Anyone, sir? You braving the risk of COVID to be out here. Is the protest worth it?
They're terrified.
Okay. Let me see.
So you guys are seeing.
You guys don't have the mask on. Are you scared of COVID? Who am I with? I'm with Kyle Seraphin.
No comments.
No comments. Okay. What if I said I was from CNN? Would there be a comment then?
Comments.
Okay. MSNBC?
No comments.
Still no comment? Crypto lawyers, 2 feds.
Also helps if you're vaccinated.
How many vaccines have you had? Are you boosted?
No comment.
Should we still carry our cards? Vaccine passports, do we still need them? You guys aren't.
Mark is off the reservation. He's off camera. He's just like rolling in with the Indians right now.
Okay, so, man, I went through most of them. They are concerned. Here's the leader. Let me see if I can get a statement. Which I highly doubt.
Well, we're curious. Which one's the leader?
Yes. She is the one with the dark sunglasses.
Oh,
right there.
The cancer survivor.
Yes.
Is this gal 6 foot tall, or is it just she's close to the camera?
No, she is.
Yeah,
she is.
Well, just one further question. That's along the same line.
Do we need to do
where do you come from to come here?
Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Did you come here specifically for this?
No, but it was definitely on my itinerary when I decided to come here.
Okay, can we face this way? Do you mind?
Sure, yes, yeah.
So, you're here with this team?
You don't want to interview with him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I thought she was fantastic, but so you see that this organization, I don't really know what to call them, but like I said, they know exactly who I am, and they don't let their people talk to me. So I'm probably blown up now, but I always appreciate. Let me tell her thank you.
Do we can find out what their name
Thank you for talking with me. What's that?
Do you know what the name of their organization is? Do they have a name? And are they funded? Like,
I would. Well, they certainly accomplish a lot of travel, and they print a lot of signs.
Mm-hmm.
So, God, I just forget the lady's name. It was told to me once. I'm bad with names. Brick Suit is very interested in this woman, so we gotta tag him or let him know what's going on here. Let me ask them, guys. Does your organization have a name? Does your organization have a name? Just an email list? So okay, so you didn't plan on coming here, but you're holding your sign. Trump is a definition of depravity, and you say, I'm okay. I'm going to hold the sign and I'm going to jump in. It's okay. It's a simple question. It's not a gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like some of their organization, which again we don't know the name, but some of the organization, they just see the signs, they see the calls, and they want to demonstrate their First Amendment. They want to pick up their signs. They want their voice heard.
Yep.
And they're doing it. It's whoever the leaders of this organization are. And they don't want them to speak to the people.
Sure.
They want this to be a one-way conversation. So that's what you got, Kyle.
Well, let me tell you this. A couple of recommendations have been made. Number one, a couple of people think you should get a taco with this the tall redhead gal. And
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind at all.
And we're going to probably have to upgrade your disguise capabilities. We need some glasses so you can pull the James O'Keefe. Are you interested in some glasses?
Yes. You can get some framed glasses. We would love some framed glasses because, as we know from James O'Keefe, it's highly effective. No prescription needed. I have contacts. So yes. Tell the supporters that we can do that, and that might help.
Yeah, maybe just a couple of lenses or a little bit of layer of glass between you and your eyes. It's the original disguise, 1930s Clark Kent. It always works.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame that they don't want to talk or get their message. You know, maybe the question is this, Mark. How are we going to have a country come together if we can't actually have any dialogue?
That I will use. So somebody with her Free Gaza or Protect Gaza or whatever, Let Gaza, I don't know, Pro Gaza shirt just showed up, and she is very familiar with the team. So they're all exchanging their greetings from their last deployment together.
Yep.
So,
but what do you
thought I'd grab that.
What is the ratio between these protesters, which doesn't look very substantial, and the media coverage on the other side, the media row? What do you think the numbers look like?
Oh, yes. So it is at least 4-to-1 media. At least I'm being conservative and accurate because I don't like to inflate. But I wouldn't be surprised if you did the math and you told me it's 6-to-1. But I go 4-to-1.
Okay.
And something unique is, like I said, the people who wanted to speak with me, being the young woman with red hair and also the older lady, they wanted to talk, just like the original woman, and that's fine. We love the First Amendment and we respect what they're doing, and we're actually interested in it. But if they don't want to have a conversation, their reach is going to be just limited to the sign.
Yeah, the reach is to whatever we can see, right? Which is not a lot, it turns out. All right. What else is looking interesting out there? What else do you want to go and kind of explore?
Yes, let me sort of get the equipment together. A few seconds, throw my backpack on, and let's carry on and find some more stuff.
All right, I'm going to go back to the split screen right now, Mark, while you're kind of.
I actually think I want to go across the street, maybe give a look at some police presence. Just kind of see, what kind of posture is here.
100% that. So, folks, if you're just joining us, we are streaming live just to see what happens out at the Supreme Court of the United States of America. We've got Mark Naughton, also known as Mark Naughton 9. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on social media at Mark Naughton 9. Go ahead and follow him. You'll see the watermark out there, and he's just covering a little bit of the light protest activity, which we have described basically as Canadian and or British Parliament. So not aggressive, other than the dropping of the signs. There's pretty much no kinetic action happening. It's not something to be concerned about, and we'll see if the media coverage matches that. Good question coming out of the chat. Mark, are you seeing any Trump supporters, people there that are rallying, saying we've got to support the president or the former president?
No, not at all. But this is a very, very, I don't know if we should show our respects and come to attention and
the banner,
silent here for a minute. But it looks like we might have a flag folding ceremony
for the banner, which says "Remove Trump."
Right.
It sounds like they're just going to block traffic. Looks like.
Let's see. Let me get ready. Get the gear.
Okay.
It's a good test for changing speeds.
Looks like we're going mobile then. Yeah, they're going to block traffic. So that's good.
Wow, did not see this coming.
How about this poor white car over here? Do you think they saw this coming?
Yeah, we're gonna interview them right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, here we go. Yep,
Sir. Ready?
Yep.
Sir, are you trying to go somewhere?
Yes, I am.
And what's the deal?
What's the deal? I'm going to work.
Are you frustrated at all that these protesters now blocked your path?
Yes, I am. That's what I'm trying to do, turn around.
Yeah, is he in a hurry?
Have a good day.
Yeah, do you happen to be in a hurry? Is this important?
Yes, it's important. It's my livelihood.
All right, sir. Well, you have a good day.
Good
Sorry
luck.
you got distracted. Let me not get run over.
Yeah, how about this minivan that just pulled in there?
Yes. They should have waited a second because the police got these ladies out of here pretty quickly. So
outstanding.
They're pulling the U-turn, but they should just wait another 30 seconds because.
Yes. Were these?
Oh, here we go.
Okay, good.
Get the sound going. Trump is a traitor.
Sure.
Trump is a traitor! Trump is a traitor! Trump is a traitor! Trump is a traitor! Trump is a traitor!
You guys getting this down there? Looks like our chat is not loving this beat.
Trump
What's that? What's the chat saying?
Yeah, they're not too excited about this beat. It sounds like they're using Muse. Is that Muse that they're playing?
Yeah, Muse is in the back, which is a great, man, I used to listen to that riding motorcycles, once I got about 130 or whatever, it's really good for that kind of stuff. But I don't know about the Trump is a traitor at SCOTUS.
It doesn't really have a good beat to it, so it doesn't really resonate, I think.
Right. Let's check our vertical, Kyle. It's a good test.
Okay, we're gonna get up over the top of these people. See, they've got heavy
one
cameras.
extension.
Okay. Yeah.
Any thoughts about what's going on today?
And you'll just have to guide me for tilt and all that.
Yeah, turn to the right a little bit. Let's see what's going on the right. A lot of media for not very many people.
Sounds great.
I always love that. That is my favorite thing in the show.
Okay.
Exactly.
We're kind of eavesdropping on somebody else's interview. They're willing to talk to somebody else, I guess.
What is that language? Because she's all right.
It's hard to say.
Y él ha estado exponiendo los argumentos frente a los jueces de la corte sobre por qué Colorado tenía razón.
Spanish or Portuguese?
You're not Portuguese, man. Come on.
What's that? You speak Portuguese?
No, I do not.
I mostly hear it in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is a traitor.
That's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, so the chat has mentioned that I have a word for people like this. They're not wrong. We like to call these people, and it's not a clinical term, it's just more of a colloquialism, but we like to call them retards. Would that be appropriate?
There could be some retards here. Education has really advanced in the last 30 years for retards, so it's possible. I'm not sure.
What is the law clear about? Is this one? How come she's not in there arguing?
That's right. Trump is a traitor. Trump is a traitor.
Let me try to speak with this lady.
Yeah. I want to know what they think about democracy. Then they don't like democracy.
Does it matter that no court has found him guilty yet of treason?
I don't want to speak on the record.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're okay with speaking publicly. Certainly, we can hear you. Why not expand your audience to the 500 people listening right now?
Because I just don't want to do that right now.
So under 500 is your preferred crowd size, right?
I don't know what my preferred crowd is. I just came from the House and the Senate, and right now, what I'm really thinking about is the money that is potentially going to Israel to continue bombing in Gaza.
So would you support Israel being removed from any bill and have the bill broken up?
Do you have a Pittsburgh accent?
Close.
Totally, like Monroeville? Where?
Near Philly.
Near Philly.
But so you would support separating all the major issues in these bills? You're talking Ukraine, you're talking Israel.
Absolutely.
So how about a border bill? Can we get a standalone border bill?
So people can vote against sending money. They're talking about $14 billion to Israel. Think about what that kind of money can do in this country.
Yeah.
Children here go hungry, medical care. There's so many reasons that we in this country need that kind of money. And to send it to Israel is the largest supplier of weapons in the world. To send money to Israel so they can continue bombing Gaza. I'm here as a Jew.
This sounds like an America First argument.
And honestly, what they're doing is making Jews less safe.
It's interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to separate from these bills? Because that's a common sentiment. People want to vote on issue by issue, not on everything all wrapped together.
That's right. Absolutely.
How about the border? Can we separate that and just make it border?
Yeah. Do that so that people can vote.
Ukraine?
Absolutely.
Everything single issue.
Everything so that people can separate these issues so they don't feel compelled to kind of do the party line. And I'm looking for my sunglasses. They can.
Can't the people do that with their vote and choose not Trump?
But here's the issue. Here's the issue. Is the way the parties work. They all collude together on.
Yeah, but isn't that our duty as the voters to decide who the president is, not the Supreme Court of one state?
We choose people that we think are going to vote a certain way, and then they come
to the Hill, and they make a lot of very different choices. I mean, I'm just thinking about my own rep, who's incredibly progressive, but is not calling for a ceasefire. Like, I can't wrap my head around it. So,
any concern that Trump, I shouldn't say Trump, under his leadership, there was peace in the Middle East.
Oh, please don't.
No. It's a serious question.
No, there was not peace in the Middle East.
Well, what kind of violence was there?
He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He supported still having settlers in the West Bank.
Was Israel killing the children at that time?
Don't start with me. Don't start with me. Because,
we started, but it's okay. It's a fair question.
Do you know, are you Jewish?
Does that matter?
In some ways it does, because as Jews in this country, we are indoctrinated to believe that our safety is dependent on Israel. We're also indoctrinated to believe that in 1948, as Jews, it was a land for a people without a land. There were 740,000 people that were displaced from Palestine. But as Jews growing up in this country, we don't learn that. Right? Did you grow up? Are you Jewish?
I don't see how
for you doesn't matter.
I'm a journalist.
But I remember as a kid putting my dimes in the little cardboard thing for trees. For pine trees. You know what they were doing? You know, we thought we were building forests in this barren land.
Yeah.
They were cutting down olive trees. They were cutting down olive trees in order to grow pine trees.
Are you on Twitter? Where can we find you?
No, I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram.
Instagram. What's your handle so that people can find you? No, you've been fantastic because
I appreciate the comment.
That's what we. Yeah, so we appreciate your time and the conversation. That's what I do. So, where can we find you?
I just was in Poland.
Okay, where can we find you? Where can we find you? We're not going to Poland to find you there. We're not going to Poland.
You know, I went
it's okay.
And I saw desecrated cemeteries.
I know it's atrocious.
Okay, and I went to
understand.
Auschwitz and Birkenau the day after October 7th. And I still say, never again for anyone, and not in my name.
Thanks for your time. Okay, I appreciate it.
She's great.
Well, yeah, you know, no one has to agree with anybody. I'm just glad she spoke with us.
I like it. And you know what's even more fun? I think she was slowly red pilling herself on her single issue bills. I mean,
it was funny.
The chat was just saying that she's MAGA.
So these guys
got
some kind of heavy media attention here. Let's see who's talking.
One person with no pants on, or what?
All about. Let's see. What is this about?
Yes.
This is
the plaintiffs and the attorneys' press conference. Should be starting soon.
Lovely.
Okay. Excellent. Let's set up. Thank you. Thanks for that.
You can get above all of them. They have no idea what you're about to do.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive.
They're being very nice to you, these people who brought a lot more gear.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're gonna extend up. We're gonna get nice and tall. All right, so folks, if you're joining us, we got Mark Naughton on the street, our domestic war correspondent. He is in Washington, D.C., in front of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, where an argument, I guess, has been going and is almost over. We cut away from it because it wasn't all that interesting. The decision is going to be interesting, but the actual argument being made was a lot of neurotic conversation, and they were doing idiosyncratic discussions of what an officer is and whether that has changed, and whether this guy is more important than you, Mark. He's more important than you. Are we in your? Yeah, we're gonna keep getting set up here. So Mark has the ability to extend probably taller than anybody else in here. We're gonna see if we can get a mic.
I gotta get closer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Obviously, you're gonna get up high.
Yeah.
Let's get up high.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'd love to get my microphone in here, but this will work. We're gonna have to get a side angle.
These things happen.
What's our numbers right now, Cole?
We got about 600 and something watching on Rumble, and we got another, I don't know, bunch of people watching, another 50 or so watching over on Twitter. 35 to 50 kind of fluctuates. So
great, guys. Please share, retweet the space.
You're not in a space. We're doing mass broadcasting here. All right, I'm going to go back to the white here. We're just catching some guys' backs. Who are these dudes in suits? What are they all about? Are they the government?
Let me see if I can get my microphone in there too, real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get that in there. Let me see if I can set up. Let me see if I can set up. Thanks,
Nice.
guys.
Excellent.
Let's let the team through.
My name is Jay Ashcroft. I'm the Secretary of State of the state of Missouri. Behind me are several other secretaries of state that have signed on and filed an amicus brief. They're happy to take individual questions, however you want to deal with that. We're here for the sole purpose, really, of saying that secretaries of state should not be determining who's on the ballot. We are not judicial officers. It is our responsibility to administer elections, to do that without putting a thumb down on the scale, but to allow the people to make decisions. The idea that an unelected election officer could make these decisions is really an attack on our very democracy. The idea that local election authorities in my state or in other states could make their own decisions would run havoc through our electoral system. That's why we're here, to ask the court to firmly and completely stop what was happening in Colorado, what was brought up in the state of Maine, and allow people to make their own decision and to vote as they see fit. That's why we're here. I think there are other secretaries that would like to say something. I don't know who want to go first or how you want to do that, but happy to give them the opportunity.
I'm Mac Warner. Secretary of State from the state of West Virginia. And as Jay Ashcroft just said, this should be, an election should be decided by the people and not by a Secretary of State, or we shouldn't be trying this in courts and tying up the court system and letting that determine the outcome of a presidential election. So that's what we're doing here in Unity, saying that the role of a Secretary of State is ministerial. If somebody qualifies to be on the ballot, they need to be on the ballot. It shouldn't be a Secretary of State pulling somebody off of a ballot. So that's what we're here to do, and I think that the Supreme Court should hand down this decision very readily. We've got Super Tuesday and other primaries coming upon us very soon, and we need clear direction that it's our job to put qualified people on the ballot. This decision was one that dealt with Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and this clearly was not an insurrection, so that should be out of the question here. It was a riot that got out of control, not an insurrection. So that piece goes away, and now it goes back to, is somebody qualified to be on the ballot? And clearly Trump was, so he should be on the ballot in all 50 states. Thank you very much.
Diego, Indiana Secretary of State, and the first Hispanic Latino immigrant Secretary of State in America. I'm here because we believe as Secretary of State, only the American people should choose who their next leader is. Not the Secretary of State, not the courts, no one. Only you, the American people. And please, 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 get out there and vote for your next leader this November. Thank you.
My name is Frank LaRose. I'm the Ohio Secretary of State, Chief Elections Officer for the Buckeye State. I owe a duty to the 8 million registered voters in my state to make sure that they have a free and fair opportunity to cast their ballot and to choose who their party's nominee is going to be for president. This is why I was proud to sign on to this amicus brief, because it's a pretty clear American value that each voter should get to make their decision, and that's how we decide who our party's nominees are going to be. It shouldn't be judges. It shouldn't be secretaries of state that make that decision. It should be the voters. It seems like a bit of a contradiction to me that some of the same folks that are arguing to throw this candidate off the ballot are the same people that call themselves voter rights advocates, the same people that call themselves election advocates, and now they want to put their thumb on the scale and keep a candidate from being on the ballot. That's why I joined my fellow secretaries of state to say our voters get to decide who their party's nominee is going to be and ultimately who their president of the United States is going to be.
You know how hard it is, guys, to talk through someone who's heckling you like that? They're doing a great job. I love it. These are real professional politicians.
Are there any questions anybody wants to ask any of the secretaries?
Oh, that's good.
Let me just add one thing, if I may. In the courtroom, they talked about whether people were of age, whether people were born in the United States, or whether they're naturalized citizens, for whether or not they could run for the presidency. It is very different for a Secretary of State to look at a driver's license and say, this is how old you are, than it is for a Secretary of State to make a judicial decision about whether or not someone has caused an offense that would remove them from the ballot. We should not be doing that. Thank you. Please make sure that people understand that.
You said earlier that you don't think Secretary of State should have the power to disqualify people from the ballot, but you threatened a few weeks ago to remove President Biden from the ballot. Here's how you square those two statements.
Well, there's no need to square it at all. What I said was we should not have that. But if the Supreme Court said that under the Constitution we do have that authority, it would be used. It should not be used. We should not have that authority. And that's why all of us are before the court saying, stop this now. Anybody else want to speak to that? Someone else? Are we all done? Anybody else? I would expect a decision within the week. I'd love it if we got a decision on Monday. If being in the court for the arguments, it did seem like most justices already had their decisions made. So it needs to be done quickly. This is not the sort of thing that should go on for a long time. We need to make sure it's a comprehensive decision. Technically, this case was about the Colorado case. The main case was not appealed up to the United States Supreme Court. It's still going through the state process there. We need to make sure that the court rules in such a way that gives us finality for this question, because we want to run elections and let the people make their own decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
What are you doing?
Thanks, guys.
Claro.
All right, Mark. Good gab.
Guys, Norma and her team will be here in 2 minutes or so.
Let me grab our microphone.
Do you want to leave it set up?
Yeah, we might have, might be the other side now, if they want to do it.
What's going on with his hair? Let's find out about this. Got questions.
I know.
Where do you get that? What do you ask for if you go into a salon and you come out with that? What do you have to ask?
That is a good question.
Like, do you say, I'm looking for the 1996 Gwen Stefani? It's a good look if you're into it.
Give me the Gwen. Yeah. Okay, so
obviously a lot of time and thoughts going into that.
Looks like we're gonna get something else over here.
Okay, what's Citizen Trump? What is that person all about?
I don't know yet, but it looks like time for photos at least.
You should probably try to get into some of those photos, Mark.
I'm gonna come find you for that later. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you like, we can go back and play a little bit and see if the oral arguments are still coming in or if they're wrapped up here. Do you want me to kind of pause you for a second?
I expect it to be over, but
let's see.
You tell me. You tell me what's happening.
Second question. Some of the rhetoric of your position.
Let's see if it's over. Yeah, it looks like it is in fact over.
I think that's what some of this were the counselors for the matter. I
That
think
makes
that's
more
who we
sense
were
then,
listening
doesn't
to. Yeah, I think so.
It tends to make more sense that way. All right, fair enough.
Pull up, search their names real quick, and so you can sort of see. I'm expecting the opponents to come out here next.
Are we still set up in there?
Yeah, so we still have our audio there, which that's why I'm
kind of hovering.
Honestly, I'm really satisfied with our real estate verse up front. Give a different, unique view.
Yeah, if you want to rotate around the back end of it and get that high look, that was clean. This guy has a nice beard. Who do you think he represents?
I believe, if I were to take a guess, I think he represents the United States Supreme Court Police.
Smart.
If I were to take a guess.
Yeah, very dignified in all black. It's a good choice.
But that's my guess. That's my guess.
Well, we picked a nice day for this, Mark. I got to say.
You know what? Honestly, I went too heavy with the coat and the liner, and sweater, and gloves that are in my backpack.
Yeah, not scalable, huh?
Well, you know what? I got a late start, so I just went prepared.
What about the Fed situation? Do we feel like we have any interlopers there that are looking to drum up problems and conflict?
So plenty of feds. I haven't seen any fun feds. No fun. Okay, here we go. Let me get ready. Get the up close.
Okay. Pretty amped up. Sorry.
Yep.
He's not trying to signal to you, but he should. He doesn't know. Okay.
Think of, in case they take questions.
Yeah, well, the question is are they thinking about adding any diverse members to their legal team so that we don't just have to see white men making arguments? That would be the question, I think. Do they feel like that their representation is an accurate representation of America? That's what I want to know. And are the legal pads, the yellow legal pads, are those somehow a slur against Asians? Would be good too. Is it time for darker skin, darker leaf legal pads?
You certainly can.
Let's get the real hard questions here, Mark.
It's a long argument.
Everyone looks very serious.
So I will go higher with the camera.
Let's do it.
The peaceful transfer of presidential power is what sets our democratic experiment that has persisted for 250 years apart from those countries whose democratic experiments have failed. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is a self-defense for our Constitution, based on the idea, learned through painful experience, that those who break their sworn oath to the Constitution by engaging in insurrection against it cannot be trusted with public office again. President Donald Trump engaged in insurrection by inciting a violent mob to attack our Capitol and disenfranchise over 80 million people who voted against him. In doing so, President Trump disqualified himself from holding office. That's not something we are doing to him. That's not something any court is doing to him. That is something he did to himself under our Constitution. Today is a day that tests our nation's commitment to the rule of law and to whether our Constitution applies equally to everybody, regardless of their popularity. The law is clear that President Trump can hold no office again unless 2/3 of Congress grant him amnesty. We are confident that the U.S. Supreme Court will apply Section 3 as written and uphold the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court standing for the principle that no person is above the law. I'd like to introduce as well our lead petitioner, Norma Anderson, a longtime Colorado Republican who had the courage to bring this case.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was the first experience for me to sit in front of the Supremes, but I'm going to trust them to do the right thing. As you just heard. Sorry about that. I guess I better stand closer to the mic. Is that better? Almost. Sorry, I've got a loud voice. I used to call kids at over 100 acres. So this is as loud as it gets. But anyhow, where I was, our founders drew up a constitution that was still in effect. But we had a little insurrection back in the late 1860s. And guess what?
Late 1860s? Oh, thought it was 61 to 65.
14
Weird.
with Section 3 in it. Insurrection, you cannot serve if you committed insurrection. What is trying to throw out an election? I call it insurrection, as well as raiding the U.S. Capitol.
Raiding it.
That is insurrection. The last time it was raided was by the British in 1812. Well, 1814, that was the war. So this is very personal to me. I've lived a hell of a long time, and I've gone through a lot of presidents. And this is the first one that is trying to destroy the Constitution. And I thank you for being here.
Hold on. We'll do questions at the end. We'll do questions at the end, okay? Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Krista Kafer, and I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. I am a registered Republican. And I watched with horror on January 6th as someone who took an oath to the Constitution, worked to subvert that oath, had for 2 months pushed a false and dangerous narrative that fomented violence, that inflamed a crowd, that attacked the building that is near us. I was once a congressional staffer. I know what it's like to be in that building. I cannot imagine that somebody who had taken an oath of office would go back on that oath, foment violence against the very people that he had worked with. As a Republican, I believe in rule of law. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in its very plain words that said, you cannot take an oath of office and then subvert that oath and foment violence, foment insurrection. I am so proud of all of us who are here today. I'm so proud to stand with Norma Anderson, who actually represented my district when I was young back in Colorado. She is a great leader. We have so many great people on this case who have come forward to say, this is the line. This is the line. You cannot foment insurrection. You cannot foment violence.
A lot, huh?
You cannot do these things. They knew about this back in the 1860s, and that's why they put this into place. Today, we are proud to stand by the Constitution, by the rule of law, to say, never again. And I hope that this court, I know that they take it very seriously. We watched as they ask very hard questions, that they take their role very seriously in upholding the Constitution. And I can speak for all of us that we are so proud to be here today on behalf of the American people, on behalf of our democracy, and on behalf of our Constitution. Thank you.
Look at that guy.
One more speaker, and then we'll do a few questions.
Hi, I'm Noah Bookbinder, president of Crew. And I think for a long time, people have looked at this case and said, you know, this is a long shot at best. But what we saw today was a Supreme Court taking this extremely seriously, digging into the issues, asking tough questions of everyone, getting extraordinary answers from Jason Murray. And that shouldn't come as a surprise, because what we've seen over recent weeks is amicus briefs from historians, from legal experts, from former officials across the political spectrum, particularly Republicans, making very clear that the disqualification clause of the 14th Amendment has to apply to the president, always applied to the president, that it has to be self-enforcing, that, and perhaps most importantly, that it is the right thing for democracy. It is the tool we have to protect our democracy. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for these incredibly brave Republican and unaffiliated voters who brought this suit. You heard from Norma Anderson and Krista Kafer. We're also joined today by Claudine Schneider and Chris Castillion. And it's their courage to stand up for the Constitution and for the Republic that brought us here, as well as the incredible bipartisan legal team represented today so ably by Jason Murray, that got us to this point. Now it's up to the Supreme Court, and we have every faith that they are going to be fair, that they're going to be thorough, they're going to make the decision that the Constitution and the law demands.
We'll take a few questions. Just introduce yourself and what outlet you're with before you ask.
All right, we got some Seraphin media questions.
Curious if you could speak to how concerned you are by the precedent that we set here today. If states are able to remove, individual states are able to remove candidates from the ballot, does that worry you for the Constitution?
No, it doesn't worry me, and I'll tell you why. I'm a strong believer of state rights, and so were the founders. Very simple.
Norma, Marshall Zellinger, 9 News.
Yes, Marshall.
It seems that the justices had a lot of concern about, well, if Colorado or one state gets to do something, what's that going to mean for the other states? You say states' rights. They seem concerned about that.
Well, if I petition on, and if I remember right, there's been a third party petition on several states and didn't make it in every state because of the state laws. What's the difference?
Are you optimistic to win the case?
Of course, I'm always optimistic.
But it doesn't look like, actually. When you listen to the questions, actually, I got the impression that it will be difficult for you.
I have chaired committees. And of course, it's not sitting in with the Supremes. But you ask a lot of questions so that you learn.
What did
Norma,
you
can I follow up on that briefly? Just a moment. I want to follow up on this question. Getting hard questions has been the story of this case. We got an awful lot of hard questions in the Colorado trial court from a judge who ultimately found that President Trump did indeed engage in insurrection. We got an awful lot of hard questions from the Colorado Supreme Court, which ultimately determined that we were right, that President Trump could be excluded from the ballot. You don't do hard things without asking hard questions. And even though we are right on the law, we understand that what we are asking the court to recognize is something extraordinary, which is that for the first time in our nation's history, a major candidate for president of the United States is ineligible for that office under the Constitution. So we fully expected we were going to get difficult questions, but we're confident that when the court looks at the law and digs into the issues, it will realize that we're right and apply the law as it's written.
Mark, can we get a difficult question? Maybe we can hammer down on
one at a time.
What years the Civil War was, if they know why that's important.
Well, if they don't, then we, as the rest of the country should will abide by the result. But we're confident that they will recognize that we're right on the law.
Let's go right here.
Jake Rosen with CBS News. The makeup of the Colorado
It's hard for me to hear.
Oh, we're hearing great, though.
Yeah, you're hearing better than me.
Well, our expectation is that any judge, regardless of who appointed them, will do their best to apply the law as it's written and not try to achieve any political outcome. And here the law is clear in our favor.
Does this threaten innocent before guilty?
Go ahead right here.
It's Mark Stone from Sky News. I wonder if I could ask you what your message is to the millions of Trump supporters around the country who believe that the process that you're driving is going to disenfranchise them if you win.
Would they be disenfranchised if he'd been born in Germany?
What?
He wouldn't be on the ballot. He committed insurrection, and he should not be on the ballot. It's very simple. There's 4 reasons you can't be on the ballot. And if they truly believe in our democracy, they will accept it. Just as I have accepted things that have been passed that I don't agree with.
And are you confident that you will win this?
I'm always confident.
Last one or two.
What about you? Can we talk about your confidence?
Yes, I'm confident the court's going to apply the law.
Sorry, just talk about that.
Absolutely, yes. We're confident that as the court continues to dig into the legal issues here, it will see that there is no way to excuse a president who engaged in insurrection from applying the Constitution.
There was one over here. Sir, go ahead. We're not. Last question.
It's very awkward.
Right here.
These people.
Right here.
The court doesn't.
Call Seraphin.
What kind of
She has
president
one
would
back
set
there.
the country?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
NHK, go ahead. Just shout.
So, yeah, just very quick question. What's your reaction to their judgment, and also how is the atmosphere? Can I ask you more in detail?
Certainly. Well, the atmosphere was... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I
couldn't hear you very. I think we couldn't hear the question terribly well. Could you speak up, please?
Oh, yes. So, what's your reaction, and how is the atmosphere?
What's your reaction, and how was the atmosphere in the court?
Good one.
Well, the court, as usual, was very, very quiet. A few giggles once in a while. But
how was the temperature in the court?
Very
was it
intense.
Nice? Is it comfortable in there?
I noticed that each and every justice listened very closely.
Oh, good. Were they well fed?
They all
had they slept
paid
the night
attention.
before, you think?
Not one fell asleep.
Oh, my
Isn't that good? I'm kidding. They wouldn't anyhow. But no, it was intense.
Mm.
Lots of questions.
How was the
In
lighting?
fact, probably
was it good? Do we like
more
the lighting?
questions than usual. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And because they were curious, they want to know what is their duty.
You want to ask
Thanks,
about
everybody.
the pipe bombs there?
You know,
Mark?
a lot of foreign media.
Are they concerned about the pipe bomber being on the loose in this city?
I'll ask him when he walks by about presumption of innocence, but
yeah,
you know, you got to keep it professional. You know,
I know you
called,
do.
So
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I know you don't, but it's
If they qualify
got to be taken seriously. You know.
Very hard to
Let me
beat
see.
Yeah, don't shoot your...
I'll give him the gentle walk away question, you know. But that's about
And I know the rest
presumption
of
of
the world
innocence.
would be very
Are we done with it?
disappointed
Right.
because I've talked to a few.
Is it old fashioned? Does that belong in the late 1860s?
Right. Let me get it real quick as they walk by, but that's going to be the best way to get
Oh, people throwing our stuff.
Yeah, let me grab my mic.
All right, Mark's going to be recovering some
Sorry,
gear.
Mark.
We'll throw him full screen if he gets a quick question in there.
Closer, please. Closer together. Okay.
Look at this media circus, y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking for my. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, get in there. Get in there and let your head be right at their crotch level when you're trying to get there.
All right, buddy.
Let her know she owes you money now.
Yep, just let me grab. Yep, that's mine right here, buddy. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Lori, nice officer, took care of that for me.
That a guy.
If we could clear a path here, please.
Yeah. Right here. Does this threaten the presumption of innocence standard? Innocent till proven guilty? Is that a concern anymore? Does this take it out?
He was found guilty in the trial.
He was found guilty.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
It's interesting that
We
we
got
let
it,
people that don't know very much make arguments in front of the Supreme Court. So that's cool. What's the mood? How's the media feeling about this, Mark? Are they psyched? Are they feeling pretty great?
Yeah, they're I mean, did you get that sound bite from the answer?
Oh yeah, she said he was found guilty. She lives in her own world, right? That's okay.
Oh my goodness,
She said she's lived a long time. Oh, she's going to do another little scrum over here. You going to get in there?
I'll get my microphone ready.
Yeah. All right, let's get wider.
Oh my gosh, if we don't stand up for what we believe to be true, our democracy is in an impossible position. We've got to have a backbone and stand up.
I really seriously agree.
Regardless of impact,
and it's more important
you know?
that people who are coming from
Yeah.
I would do the same.
The total, all 6 of us, 4 are registered Republicans.
My friend Lisa. It's okay. Thank you so much. I'm listening. Yeah.
And the other 2 are independents who,
Okay.
have left the Republican Party.
Ma'am, who are you in this matter?
I'm one of the plaintiffs in the case, yeah.
Ma'am, just the concern about the presumption of innocence standard. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a concern there that this might?
Oh, he's not. Who are you with?
I'm with Kyle Seraphin Media.
Yeah, what?
Nothing.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know Kyle Seraphin, the whistleblower, FBI?
Oh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Is there a concern that this threatens the innocent until proven guilty standard?
Well, I think that the Colorado courts proved that Mr. Trump was clearly part of the insurrection. And that was the only thing that needed to be proven in terms of your question.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your time.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Do you want to get into it?
Thanks for taking the question, ma'am.
Go right there.
This is why Mark is there. He's being very polite. It's kind of interesting that we're going to live in this fantasy world where we're going to pretend like a court case happened that did not. Not what you normally expect.
It's pretty interesting that this activist organization likes to interrupt and try to silence the plaintiff in front of the media. By the way, Kyle, they said that we're not real media.
Let me give me your card. Where's your media card? Where's your badge?
This is how I prefer it. I get the real interviews without the badge.
There's no badge. What is she talking about? Who is that?
She's a badge. This is the woman that belongs with the Defeat Trump movement.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't really understand their resistance.
Find out if they have
to
nonprofit status.
The freedom of the press.
All right.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Mark,
I don't need the tit for tat with it. Yep. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
Yep, I'll be back in a few. I'm going to be on a interview real quick, and we'll be back. Folks, we're just going to keep Mark running.
Yeah, guys, so looks like a little spin-off. I'm a little far from it, so I'm going to back off and try to get anything of greater value because I just can't even hear it. So, just let me get a drink of water in a minute, guys. Okay, Colin.
So the other half, again.
Let me see. What I'm going to do, guys, I'll probably grab some street interviews for you so I don't kill your attention. Let me set up the tripod. Let me figure all this out. Give me a second.
One of the things I know that something about records made to get the property near that road. I know it's going back and forth. That'd be a cool place. That'd be a place.
So thank you, Patriot mugs, Patriot cups, Patriot water sources for sponsoring today's show and sending me this nice low profile OD green 20-ounce water. Keep me hydrated. Thank you. Okay. Let me see. Let me see. So until I grab somebody, I'll just talk about the climate. I want to tell you, it was not a very lively a protest outside the Supreme Court today. We did see that anti-Trump. We got to come up with a name for this organization. We have to. They haven't given me a name. I don't know their name. I've followed them. They wear all black, mostly women, mostly little women. They seem to prefer masks. I have seen them many times without masks, but it might be something to do with the weather. Okay, but as you can see, multiple times I try to speak to their people. They'll interrupt. It's the unknowing people. I guess sort of their reserve protesters who are willing to speak with me. Whereas their full-time active duty protesters really like to interrupt. She's giving me faces as one of them. It's completely okay. They also they wanted my media badge, my media credentials. I have some. It's none of their business. I don't have any in the city of DC. I don't need them. You can see This is absolutely fine. We're getting better content than anyone else, just simply because it's what me and Kyle have set up. But nonetheless, they don't like the First Amendment when it comes back to them, when it's the freedom of the press. They want the freedom of their speech, but they don't want to be challenged. Okay, and you guys will listen to me. I take the job very seriously. I want the dialogue. It's not my job or my intent to sort of push any agenda. My agenda, it's whatever the opposition is, that's the question I'm going to give them. But super quiet right now. Like I said, so the attorneys, they've had their presser. I struggled to get the audio. I did have a question for them, which was kind of simple: is does this threaten the innocent until proven guilty standard? The presumption of innocence in America. That's the question. Does this threaten it? Because President Trump hasn't been found guilty of any criminal charges, and then there's even the greater question of, is he even exposed to criminal charges for acts while he was a president? That is something that's a little bit above my level. But if I stick to my level, the presumption of innocence is the question. I couldn't get it out quite. I don't know if the guy recognized the name Kyle Seraphin. I really don't. But he was going to go to me, but I guess I sacrificed a spot in the media pen to get a better and unique angle. You guys were there, you followed it, so it is what it is. We'll get questions next time, but that is the extent of it. So let me see, where are we at? I think I will take you guys on a little tour. Maybe we'll watch some of this mainstream media, watch them pack up, watch them do their thing. I don't see the big anti-Trump banner anymore, so it is pretty much concluding. So let me check time with Kyle. All right, we'll do a little tour. So because I'd like to talk to Kyle before we're done. I don't particularly want to sign off without Kyle. So let me see if anything else pops off. And see how this actually gets shut down. It actually looks like there's more people across the street now than there was on the steps. So let me take you on a little tour. All right, just bear with me. I get this all set up. We'll see if we can't find anybody of importance or significant characters. So, as you can see, media is packing it in. We'll do a little walk, and then maybe we'll cross the street and go just peruse the infamous Capitol. Gotta eat when you can. Gotta eat when you can. Let's see. So we're gonna cross the street and get a look at the people over there, police presence. But essentially, guys, we're just gonna do a little walking tour until Kyle gets back, because as far as the coverage, super grateful everybody watching. This was our first time going live, with the public, We've only had a few training runs outside of it. I can't look in the chat right now, but if you guys want, definitely let us know what worked, what didn't work, the successes, things you like, things you know, and so we can sort of improve the process. But all in all, I'm super satisfied with the rig. Very, very happy, working with and for Kyle, because he gets it. He's a multi-talented guy, and once I actually watched his show, the Kyle Seraphin show, that's when I was like, this guy is legit. He's a legit force to be reckoned with as far as the media goes. He's much more complex than an old Fed. So let me see. I might talk to the young people. Let me talk to the young people real quick. Let's see. Let me see.
Look at my great man.
Let me see. Let's talk to the young people real quick. You guys high schoolers?
Yeah.
Yes, where are you from?
Liverpool.
Oh, across the pond, as they say, right? Okay. Do you know what happened here today?
Supreme Court for Trump, isn't it?
Right, but what about it?
Because Colorado took him off the ballots.
Right, they removed him from the ballot. Do you know that President Trump has yet to be convicted of insurrection, and yet they removed him from the ballot, essentially saying that he's an insurrectionist? Does that make sense to you guys? No.
It's completely backwards, to be honest. I don't think that should be allowed. That's all.
It seems like the kind of whole idea of democracy is that you vote for who you want to. So if they're taking off one of the people you can vote for, you're reducing who can be voted for.
Do you think if the court essentially rules what Colorado did is lawful, do you think that threatens the innocent until guilty standard?
100%. I think everyone's obviously on a level playing field. I think he should be convicted on the same level as a citizen, but at the end of the day, he's not been convicted guilty yet, so he should not be off the ballot.
I think nowadays, though, it's a lot more of a thing of guilty until innocent. Nowadays, it's a lot more until the court rules against it, and victimised as being guilty.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And are you enjoying your trip in America so far? Is it the first time?
First time in Washington, yeah.
Yeah,
you guys hitting any other good spots? Better spots?
It's our first full day here, so we were on the air just 5.5 just way to Capitol Hill. So yeah, it was good, like nice tour.
Yeah. So I just one more short one is how do they teach you guys about the little old Revolutionary War? You know, we broke away. You guys just say we're done with it, or did you put up the fight?
We don't learn about it.
You don't learn about it? Wow.
We learn about more like modern wars, like World War I, World War II.
Right, yeah, when I got back together, and it's a team effort then.
Yeah.
It's a lot more European history.
Guys, thanks for your time. Enjoy America. Thanks for speaking with me. Yep. So, that's nice young gentleman. I like speaking with foreigners, especially when I know the same language. Surprising amount of knowledge about this case and what this case is about, and as you can tell, they're not even from this country. So found it interesting. They're nice young guys. They seem to be concerned by it. So, and I guess a little bonus question is they don't learn about America's Revolutionary War. So I guess that sort of is interesting. I'm watching the. Let me flip the camera, but watching the Capitol Police on bicycles essentially leaving. So let me see here. Okay, so we'll make all the cops happy here, or at least the people want to be. Got a little car stop right outside the U.S. Supreme Court, so we will see what it's about. Driver showing a lot of papers. None of them went back with the officer. So what you might be looking at is they call a warning. So we shall see. And if you have no idea what's happening here, that's the officer who's secondary, and his job is cover, and he is just watching the driver, and that is it. A lot of movements inside that car, and that's his job. Just keep his eyes on those hands, so that the other officer can run his license, write a summons, text his friends, check Twitter, whatever he's got to do. So this guy's job, as you can tell, is a little experienced, because you'll sometimes see the cover officer literally stand there and looking off into the sunset and has no idea what's going on. But looks like Sergeant Reyes is locked in. So let's see. I will. I didn't even see the back passenger. So maybe the police are just checking that registration out of Virginia. Maybe they're checking it. We'll see what pops up. But meanwhile, I will pan around. The car has been turned off. I don't know if he gave that instruction. That would be a significant change in circumstances. The anti-Trump protesters are still here, off in the distance. Like I said, they really don't like me. They're guys. If you like Trump or don't, doesn't really matter. There's a good follow on X. He goes by Brick Suit. He is the Trump loyal activist. I think he's in California, actually, but he travels America every chance he can, going to Trump events. He wears the Brick Suit. He was called out in a rally on President Trump's first campaign, 2016. He was called out of the audience, cold from the audience, given a microphone, and he has become Brick Suit ever since. And if you just look up Brick Suit, he's very interested in this anti-Trump organization, the black shirts, white letters of these ladies, and he follows them a lot. I will get their names again, and it's nothing special. I do almost no intel and detective work, guys. When last time I was in New York, I ran into one of them, one of the nicer ones that actually tries to speak with me until she gets shut down, and she's. I think she said the woman's name is. Oh, thank God! Thank God!
Are you just monologuing? What are you talking about over there? Hold on, let me throw.
Thank God! Right. I'm now doing a live play of a car stop. That's thank God.
I mean, I don't hate the car stop. What sort of evil is this poor Toyota Celica been engaged in?
Oh, I don't know, but a lot of paperwork has been exchanged.
Yeah.
None of it taken back to the car. And
is this a Celica?
This is the cover. This is the cover officer too. The primary is I assume using his mobile data terminal to to look up this registration.
This is rough stuff. So has the protest broken up? Sorry, folks, I just was on Andrew Wilkow's.
Yes, thank God.
I was just on Andrew Wilkow's radio show.
How many people are left? How many people?
All of them. Yeah, they're all
off?
still here. Everybody's still trying to figure out what's going on.
Thank you, guys.
You got a bunch of sick people. They want to watch people walk a dog. Everybody is just like a voyeur. You know what? That's what we're dealing with. It's a time for voyeurism, and that's what a live stream is. It's like, oh, somebody's having a shitty day. What do you think kind of shitty day are they having? And am I correct? Is that not a Toyota Celica? Am I correct? It's like an older model Celica?
Yes. You're talking like the
Scoop.
Early 2000. Yeah, early 2000 model.
Yeah.
I had a friend that had one of these, and back then, it's front-wheel drive. But it was a manual, and it was a tight little car as far as front-wheel drive
Now
went.
he's married to a man, though. Is that what happens when you drive a Celica? You get married to a man, possibly?
Yeah, so this is somebody of what to me looks like Middle Eastern. It's hard to see the driver, but the passenger, the female, is in the rear.
Oh.
So make of that what you will.
Maybe an Uber situation, or an Uber in a two-door, or
they're
maybe...
they're not supposed to have that, and there's no Uber marking. So
yeah, could be just transporting some poor lady that doesn't want to be here. Is she possibly being transported against her will? Have we documenting something exciting? So
I mean,
all right. What did I miss for the speech? Was there a speech? Give me the catch up here, Mark. Let me.
No. So that sort of side press conference that we peeled off. We peeled off from that because I couldn't hear any of it, and it's wasn't that aesthetic. So I said, So I just went down Media Row. We saw that. It was funny. I kind of gave an outro of what happened, what we expected, and then one of those anti-Trump women, she walked by and she was giving me faces. I just laughed it off.
No, she doesn't think we're legitimate media because we don't have badges, and you don't want to give out a
right.
What would you do? What would she get from your card? Do you suspect? Like if you're going to hand her a card,
what she would get is that she made me identify myself by some media standard that I got to produce. If an activist says, let me see your credentials.
So here's the thing. The activists are actually going to get this. So this is a good... Folks, you're watching our first test run live. We got Mark Naughton on the street in D.C. in front of the Supreme Court. We were just covering some press conferences, secretaries of state doing amicus briefs, and then we heard the lunatics talking about how Trump has already been convicted, and they have this, sort of weird thoughts about that. I heard he did a Patriot Cooler spot, so well done on that. How is it, by the way? It's keeping the water cold?
I'm glad. No, it's awesome. I didn't know the second half of their title. I'm like Patriot Water Source, Patriot Cups.
Clearly.
Patriot.
Yes, and the live chat knows exactly what's going on here, so that's cool.
Yeah, but very nice cups, and it's good. And we went with the right size because.
Oh man, if you were lugging around,
if I need sustained. Yeah, no.
Hold on, people on the screen.
It's in my pocket. Let me see if I can
check this out. Hold on, people are going to see this. This is what's at my desk.
Yeah, that's a desk unit. Yep.
I've got the 64, and that is not transportable for any ease.
Yeah. Let me switch this.
So let it be known, we've got these goofy people. What about the protest scenario? Are they still giving their thoughts? Are they pushing back? Is there? I don't see any dancing or noise, so I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little closer to that before I take down the tripod and go move. I was until this car stopped. We were going to just do a walking guided tour of the exterior of the infamous battle zone known as the Capitol.
Sure.
So
we're mobile
summonses. Now. Hold on, summonses are issued. Several summonses, and apparently they're pink out here and pink or purple out here in the district. So. Yeah, some good old federal summonses.
Yeah. Well, at least a Virginia vehicle probably means a competent driving capability. Anybody who knows the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area knows that it's Maryland drivers, no survivors. That's how that goes. And it turns out that actually you can use any kind of drivers and it still rhymes with survivors. So it doesn't actually have to be that. Wherever you're at, you can take that and use it as you will. Asian drivers, no survivors. Women drivers, no survivors. Whatever. So what the Media Row is still up. What is this person? Trump indicated. Lost a letter there? What do we got going on? Did they indict it? What is happening there with the A?
No, it hasn't. Well, it hasn't. Oh, it looks like we might have a little dialogue here. But.
He came out with a policy where he's going to punish Israelis in the occupied areas.
They need to do that. Captain said they're going to the restaurant.
Okay. Yeah, but
how you doing?
Good.
Are you here in support of President Trump?
Oh, no.
Okay. I thought I found one.
Oh, no.
I thought I found one. Okay.
What is the shirt? Is he sporting a shirt?
2024, I don't know if it's getting recorded or what, but I think the 2024 election, most important thing people need to know is about one issue, whether we want to live in a democracy or a dictatorship. And there's only one candidate who's praised dictators. So we know where we're going, what's going to happen if Trump gets elected. It'll be the end of democracy.
How about this question? Does the presumption of innocence get threatened by taking Trump off the ballot? He hasn't been convicted.
Oh, well, he hasn't been convicted, but this is not a criminal trial. This is a trial. Well, first of all, he did have a hearing back in Colorado. They had both sides argue the case, and the Supreme Court did find that he is guilty of insurrection. And it's clear. I mean, he invited the mob. The mob followed his directions. He told them to go home. They went home. He's now giving them aid and comfort, which, again, is part of the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. He's promising...
Shouldn't this be the voters' decision?
Can the voters vote for somebody who's 34?
Who's 34?
34 years old?
No, they can't.
Yeah. So do the voters have a selection?
Yeah, but 34 is something that's measurable, right? I mean,
right, exactly. And this is somewhat measurable too. I mean,
somewhat measurable?
Yeah. I mean, well, certainly there's judgment here, but when you send violent people to disrupt the Capitol, threaten the lives of the vice president, that's a whole different league. And in conjunction with having fake electors.
No, I hear your
calling
point.
The Secretary of State.
I hear your point.
That's a clear indication. That is a clear attempt to overthrow the government.
But is it clear? Because it may be clear to you.
Well,
but there's many people who vehemently disagree, right, and they say they've read the 400 pages of that speech. They listen to it, and they say maybe it's incitement, maybe not. But isn't it the tie go to the runner in America? The presumption of innocence.
Absolutely. But
excellent.
Again, this is not a criminal trial. This is an issue which determines whether you have the right to run for office if you betrayed your oath to the Constitution.
Any concern that other states will start plucking Biden off the ballot?
Certainly there's concern about that.
Does this open that door? Does that make it real?
It does open the door, but it has to go through a judicial process, just like they did in Colorado.
Where are you from, sir?
Maryland.
You're local.
Originally New York, you can probably tell from my accent.
Okay.
But it's not just me. Here's two judges, very conservative judges. Judge Ludwig, who says it's clear that Trump has violated the 14th Amendment. Here's two people who are Federalists who spent a year doing a study, 125-page paper, Federalists, law professors, prominent Federalists.
Well, what about the voters? You made your point. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but this is what they agree with Judge Ludwig, that he should not be eligible for.
Okay, the people want to know. And by the way, what's your name? Because you've been great. Rich. Yeah. Okay, so we got about 1,000 people watching. So, the people want to know is insurrection a crime?
No, it's not a crime. It just makes you. Well, I mean, certainly the people who participated. I mean, the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers.
Right.
Two of them were found
guilty
of sedition, right. And a lot of the people who participated were found guilty of, interfering with the process of the government.
Yeah.
So there were, there is laws against this, but the underlying problem is that this was a clear attempt to overthrow the peaceful transfer of power, and this is something. And if you have betrayed the oath toward the Constitution,
but a large amount of people would disagree that it's. But a large amount of people, you would concede. A large amount of people say it's not.
Well, that's why we're here, right? I mean, these guys get to decide, right? And unfortunately, Thomas, whose wife was actually part of the insurrection, who wrote a email or contacted the chief of staff, trying to take the side of the insurrection. The fact that he has not recused himself is just a disgrace to the institution. I think.
What do you think if he came out with a statement? He's like, "My wife does what my wife does. I do what I do." Would you be satisfied with that? Would that connect to you?
When I worked for the government, I worked for I had a contract. Wait,
are you married?
Sure.
Okay, so
well, let me just finish my sentence. So I worked for the federal government.
What did you do?
I was a software engineer.
Okay.
I had contractors working for me. I was told that when I go to lunch, do not allow them to pay for lunch because that is the appearance of a conflict of interest.
Yeah, sure. So how about?
So that's the same thing with Thomas. He has a clear appearance of a conflict of interest there, and he should recuse himself.
And I don't want to play gotcha, so this will just be the last one. But
Yeah.
but you bring up a good point about appearance. So I would just ask, 10% for the big guy, for my dad, okay? 10% for the big guy, okay? Talking about all the deals with Hunter Biden, all the okay, hold on, it's okay.
You're talking about Hunter Biden. How about
50,000? Okay, forget that one.
How about the $1 billion
that 50?
his son-in-law?
Hold on, my turn. 50,000 a month in rent for your son. Is there an appearance of payments?
Biden had nothing to do with that. If Biden was taking that money, that's certainly different. So if I'm working for the government, my daughter takes some money from some contractor that's not even related to me. There's no apparent conflict of interest there.
I'm getting one last question.
Yeah.
1 second. Okay, so did you hear it? If you don't like Justice Thomas's wife involved, should she just stay home and be a housewife?
No, I don't think she's restricted to that. But if she's definitely involved in a case.
So how does he manage his wife then? If she's going to go do her own thing?
Again, a clear appearance of clearly it's an appearance of a conflict of interest, and the fact that he's taking money from rich people. Everybody talks about the deep state. The deep state is the rich people who buying justices, the rich people who have a separate type of justice. That's the deep state.
I'm having too much
Thanks
fun.
for your time. I appreciate you speaking with us. Yep.
Well, very nice talking.
Nice talking to you too.
Thank
I'm
you.
Mark Naughton. Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Nice, Mark. That was enjoyable. I enjoyed that. Thanks.
I work for Colin Seraphin. The FBI whistleblower. He testified before Congress. Colin Seraphin show.
I guess.
Are you on X? Are you on Twitter?
Okay.
Are you on X? Twitter? Okay. All right. Well, he's well known and growing. So thank you. Thanks for that. Yep. So we're live streaming.
Okay.
Thanks, Rich.
Yep.
We appreciate
And Kyle
it.
said thank you too, by the way. Yep.
Outstanding.
Okay. All right. So
All right.
let
Well,
me
look,
see.
the 10% for the big guy, that's a conspiracy. Obviously, he wasn't involved in that. That's fair.
Right.
Look, we got to know where people are coming from in this country, do we not?
Right. So I love it. I as a proper journalist, I really don't care what they what their positions are. It's not my job to flip anybody, but I enjoy when they want to allow the First Amendment to go both ways, right? Which is freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
Yes, that's what we're about.
When people do the one-way stuff, it's annoying. It's very annoying, and I mean that too. The media, we're seeing more activists in media than we're seeing activists.
How about the police? Are they were they expecting more than this, or is this a meeting par for what they were briefed? That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, they're not going to say that openly, but I might be able to get that on a walk by. Let me see if I can get that on a walk by.
Yeah, no big.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're not trying to put anybody on the spot. It's just.
Yeah, I don't know the listening. The third party laws in D.C.
Oh,
it's
it's one party consent. It's a one party state, so yeah, you don't need to have anybody's permission.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, if I see the right officer, because you can't just pick anybody.
No,
you got to find the right guy.
I agree with you.
Yep.
So what are we seeing? Is this it? Have we wrapped it up? Are we gonna find any more?
I think so.
Exciting?
I'm just gonna
You're gonna get hit in the crosswalk, is what you're gonna get. Look at this. Hold on.
So we let me see here.
Got some media stand-ups going on.
Just let you kind of
good.
Let the people see how their news is created.
Yeah, you're correct. Create.
He's the first man without standing on the box.
Well, he could have stood up on that angled little wall there. That would have been good.
Yeah. Oh, how about this? Poor guy's got to hold his reflector.
Oh, nobody wants to be the reflector guy.
Oh my God.
It's like the lowest level grip situation. All right, give me a good shot of the Supreme Court. Give me one last good one. That's a nice one. Nice and broad.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get it without the light in it.
It actually looks great. I don't know what these people are taking something out.
Yeah, they're packing it in.
It's good.
Packing it in.
Yeah, amateurs carrying too much gear. They don't know.
Yep, there you go. And if I was able to zoom, and in fact, let me see if I can actually get you a more level one.
Bet you can.
Let me test the system.
All right, so let me give people a little wrap up here. We had Mark Naughton doing our first domestic war correspondent work. There was minimal war, far more corresponding, and he's able to give you kind of a live shot of what's happening outside. This is where these decisions get made. Many of you have never been there. You've never been to a protest outside of the Supreme Court. When they're big, they shut down the entire street, and it all gets stupid. People are dancing. We saw some professional protesters, it looks like, people who are paid for a living to go out there and do that kind of thing. And there's a nice shot of the U.S. Capitol. You're seeing what our quote-unquote democracy, which is really a constitutional republic, and you're also finding out that they don't really much care for democracy per se. They're not willing to let the people decide because it's already been adjudicated in their minds, even though insurrection is a crime in their mind, even though it would theoretically be a criminal matter. A civil case is good enough. We'll call it rounding up, good enough for government work. So if you guys liked what you're seeing, make sure you are following Mark on Twitter, on X. He's at Mark Naughton 9, N-A-U-G-H-T-O-N. You can see it on the right-hand side on the watermark there. Mark Naughton, the number 9 on Twitter. Make sure you're giving him a follow, especially if you guys are Trump fans. He's going to give us a final stand-up. I'm ready for you. What do you got? Close us out here, Mark.
Yeah, no, just super grateful. Like I said, just sort of, do a hot wash, guys. Give us the feedback, what worked, what didn't work. But regardless, grateful for the opportunity to bring you the truth on the ground with Kyle Seraphin. So make sure you follow both of us, and we'll do it again. We'll hit the next hotspot. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Safe travels home. Thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. There's the name, Mark Naughton, the number 9 on Twitter. Follow him, and thanks for joining us. We will continue to work on the gear, continue to work on the presentation, and we'll continue to do some fun live streams. Appreciate all of you all in the chat, hundreds of you watching, and sounds like a non-event. We're waiting on probably a week before we hear back from the Supreme Court on what's going on. We'll see you all again soon.